both things can't be true. And the first situation that I want to start off with here, I think, is the most obvious one, and it's the one that I have the most difficulty navigating, and it's the Cowboys' backfield. Okay, so Ezekiel Elliott is going as the running back 16. His ADP on Underdog is 41.3. Tony Pollard is going at 89.5 as the running back 29. And I just don't see how Zeke can pay off his value if Pollard is paying off his value, because Tony Pollard is getting drafted not like a stripped handcuff. If he were strictly getting drafted as Zeke injury insurance, he would be going, 40 picks later where Alexander Madison is going, 60 picks later where Darrell Henderson is going. He's not being drafted that way. He's being drafted with the expectation that his role is going to expand and that he will have that he will be taking significant snaps on the offense regardless of Zeke's status. And if that is the case, then how is Zeke Elliott going to be paying off mid-range RB2 value, especially in comparison to the wide receivers he's going around, guys like Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Terry McLaurin, etc.? Can you make this make any sense to me?
Think that Tony Pollard, like you mentioned, is definitely being drafted as a standalone value running back, right? He's not being drafted as a handcuff. He's being drafted as an A.J. Dillon. He's going to get touches. He's going to be out there, and he's going to score points, but has a running back in front of him that is the presumed workhorse. But I would agree that Zeke is probably a little too high if Tony Pollard is an 8th-round pick. And I think it's just because if Tony Pollard is out there and he's eating, he's just taking away from Zeke's workload and Zeke's potential ceiling. But obviously the opportunity could be there for both of them, and it's definitely not impossible for both running backs to produce in fantasy on one of the better offenses in the NFL. We've seen it before. But I think Zeke, who's entrenched in the middle of the running back dead zone, is probably just one of the worst picks you can make in best ball, just from a value perspective in terms of the players that he's going around, just from the perspective of Tony Pollard is behind him, who a lot of people seem to think Pollard is better than Zeke at this point in their careers. I think that I'm on the fade Zeke and buy Tony Pollard train in the 8th round. And in our last draft, I drafted Tony Pollard 88th overall, a little bit above ADP.
I love Pollard. I mean, I think that, he can pay off that value because of a Zeke injury, but I think that he could overtake Zeke to a certain extent. Maybe not fully, but I think that there's definitely just a chance that, without Amari Cooper there, without Michael Gallup for the first part of the season, they're going to have to lean on what explosiveness they have in the offense. And is that going to come from a second-round rookie? Is that going to come from James Washington? Or could it come from Tony Pollard, who is arguably the second most explosive player on that offense behind CeeDee Lamb as far as pass catchers go? So I don't know. I really like Pollard this year. I've drafted a ton of him, and I'm off Zeke. I think that if Pollard is paying off this value like you seem to expect him to, and like I do expect him to, then Zeke is being overdrafted. And that's just the way it is. And it's tough because this is the cheapest offseason price we've ever had for Zeke, going as an RB16. I mean, God, he was like a first-round pick last year, but I still feel like I can't be in on Zeke at that price.